This is your one and only FireSpark81 with your daily dose of video goodness, and today we take a look at a build that is the ultimate in culinary carnage for Baldur's Gate 3. Let's get to it. So there is one weapon in Baldur's Gate 3 that is the ultimate underdog weapon, overlooked by everyone and eaten by many, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is the Salami. This whole build is designed to turn this weapon into the masterwork of gastronomical offense that it was always meant to be. Because what's more fun than beating people to death with a large chunk of meat? Before we jump into the details of this build though, I do want to point out that while the damage output on this build is very high, unlike many of my other builds that work for a solo playstyle, beating people to death with your meat is best experienced with friends. On top of that, this build comes online at level 3 and can be doing absolutely insane damage as early as level 5, depending on how quickly you can obtain 2 items. So this build starts out as a cleric build. Pick whatever cantrips you like to pick, but I advise with Sacred Flame, Guidance, and Produce Flame. But really, it doesn't matter because you're not going to be cantripping very much anyway. For our subclass, we are going with the War Domain. This gets us one of the spells that is going to help increase the damage of the Salami. Pick whichever deity you want to pick, it doesn't really matter. For your ability points, you're going to go 10 into Strength, 14 into Dexterity, 16 into Constitution, and 17 into Wisdom. Wisdom is going to be where a majority of our damage comes from, and it just so happens that since we are a cleric and we're going to mainly be a cleric, it's also going to drastically increase the damage of any of our damaging spells if we decide to use any of our damaging spells. At level 2, we are taking a dip into Druid, and we are only here for one thing and one thing only, and that is the 𝐴𝐿𝐴 cantrip. Pick whichever other cantrip you want to go with. I highly suggest going with the poison spray, but in the end, it really doesn't matter. At level 3, we are heading over to Fighter, and we are going to grab our first level in Fighter, and we are going to choose Dueling. This is going to get us a flat 2 extra damage onto the Salami. At this point, we can now cast 𝐴𝐿𝐴 as many times as we want because it is a cantrip, and it takes our measly little 1d4 damaging Salami to a 1d8. Then we boost that by an additional 2 on the high and the low by choosing Dueling. This means all we have to do is cast 𝐴𝐿𝐴, and for 10 turns, our Salami will deal anywhere from 3 to 10 damage. But on top of that, because we chose our first level as the War Cleric, we also get Divine Favor. We have to spend a spell slot to get this, but it only costs us a bonus action aside from that, so we can cast this and attack in the same turn. This adds an additional 1d4 radiant damage dice to our Salami for 3 turns. So now at level 3, we have the capability to turn our amazing chunk of meat into a weapon that deals 4 to 14 damage. And we're just getting started. Let's continue to level 5, and then we'll take a look at where our damage can possibly be at this stage in the game. So at level 4, you are going to choose Fighter again. This is going to get us the Action Surge ability, and then at level 5, we are sticking with Fighter, and we are choosing the Battlemaster subclass. This is going to get us an additional 1d8 on 4 possible attacks every short rest on top of our already insane early game damage. So for this, I highly advise going with Disarming Attack, which is absolutely handy for disarming your opponent so they can't deal as much damage to you, Menacing Attack, which imposes fear on the target, and Trip Attack, which can knock your target prone. Now at this point, you should be able to get a hold of 2 items that are going to drastically increase the amount of damage that you can output with this weapon. Both items are rings, and the first one that you want to go after and is the easiest to get is the Caustic Band. This just adds a flat 2 additional acid damage to all of your attacks. You can buy this from a merchant in the Underdark. Super easy to get a hold of. The second one that you want to get is the Strange Conduit Ring, and I show in a previous video how you can get this one. You do have to go to the ☆ in order to get this one, but it is possible to get this one without triggering the cutscene that would normally trigger when you walk into the area where this ring resides. If you're going that route, it doesn't really matter that much because you're going to have to trigger that cutscene anyway to go that path in the story. But for those of you who do not want to take that path, I will link a video down below in the description. You can watch that video video and it shows you how you can get this ring. Once you have both of these rings, you have your 𝐿𝐴 buff on, you have your Divine Favor buff on, this magnificent hunk of meat will now do anywhere between 10 and 23 damage per hit. And that's not even counting if you dip it into fire or poison. Dipping it into fire means that it will do an additional 1d4 damage, meaning that it will do anywhere from 14 to 27 damage. Yes, 14 to 27 damage is possible with a chunk of meat at level 5. I say level 5 because that's the earliest I've been able to get those two items. It could be possible to get those two rings even sooner than level 5. Ideally, you only need 3 levels in this build for it to be viable. 3 levels will get you the Divine Favor, the 𝐿𝐴, and the 2 additional bludgeoning damage. And let's not forget, you can still add an additional 1d8 to that for 4 turns. Okay, let's get back to leveling. So at level 6, you are going to choose Fighter, and this is going to put you at Fighter level 4. This is going to get you your first feat. For your first feat, you are going to choose ability improvements. You are going to put 1 point into Wisdom, and you are going to put 1 point into Constitution. Now, this may seem weird to many of you because we're not going even numbers here to start with, but trust me, it's all going to be even in the end. So this will put you at 18 Wisdom, and it will put you at 17 Constitution. We are always going to be concentrating on a spell, so we need our Constitution to be as high as possible to help ensure that we save on our Constitution saving throws. At level 7, we are going Fighter again, and this is going to get our first extra attack. So now we can attack twice per turn with our Salami. It kind of sucks we don't get this until level 7, but better late than never. At level 8, we continue on leveling into Fighter. This will put us at Fighter level 6. This gets us our second perk. This is where we are going to choose Resilience. Resilience allows us to level up one ability by a single point, and then it gives us proficiency in saving throws for that ability. So obviously this is where it makes sense that we have uneven numbers, because for this we're going to choose Constitution. This will put our Constitution to 18 and give us proficiency in saving throws. Now you could arguably choose Warcaster here, but Warcaster gives you advantage. This just gives you a flat amount. And you can argue about it down there in the comments, but I feel having a flat amount added to your dice before you even roll is a better option than advantage, because it's possible to succeed at a roll before you even roll the dice if that amount is high enough. So that's why we're going with Resilience. Now level 9 is where we're going to make the swap back to Cleric, and we're going to continue to level Cleric until we hit level 12. At level 11, we are going to get our next feat point, and you are going to choose ability improvements again, and you are going to put both of those points into Wisdom, bringing your Wisdom to 20. Now the reason we are choosing Wisdom over Strength, and the reason we have 10 points into Strength, is because if we didn't have any points into Strength at all, we wouldn't get any additional damage when 𝐿𝐴 isn't active, just in case we ever need to make an attack when 𝐿𝐴 isn't active. However, you do want to do your best to always keep 𝐿𝐴 active, because 𝐿𝐴 is going to be your bread and butter and where the majority of your damage comes from. 𝐿𝐴 reads that it only increases your attack rolls, but this is false, and I tested this thoroughly. I am 100% sure. You can go double check my work here. 𝐿𝐴 also converts the damage rolls from using your Strength modifier to using your Wisdom modifier. That is why we are putting all of our points into Wisdom. So when this is all said and done and you have 𝐿𝐴 active, you are going to get +5 additional bonus damage to your weapon because of 𝐿𝐴. At level 12, we get Crusader's Mantle, which is a better version of Divine Favor. It still only gives us a 1d4 additional damage. However, it lasts 10 turns. And on top of that, it buffs our entire party. When it's all said and done, you will have 3 level 3 spell slots for Cleric, which means you will be able to cast this 3 times, totaling 30 total turns. If you don't end the fight within 30 turns, or you manage to lose concentration 3 times, which shouldn't happen even if the fight goes on pretty long, because your chance chance to save is so high, you can revert back to using Divine Favor, and you'll have a bunch of spell slots to spend on that, even though you will have to upcast it, and it doesn't benefit from upcasting, but you can expend those spell slots if necessary. So at this point, you just want to equip anything and everything that is going to increase your damage output, and you want to favor anything that's going to give you a flat damage amount, even if it's only like 2 damage. That is always going to be a better option than rolling dice. Because we started off as the War Cleric, we also get the ability to wear heavy armor, so you're going to always want to wear as heaviest of armor that you can find, favoring anything and everything that's going to decrease the damage that you take. Lastly, we do have the ability to use our War Priest charges. You get some War Priest charges. They're going to allow you to do an additional attack as a bonus attack. You want to be very, very careful with this, because for some reason, when you go to do your second attack, which you should get a second attack without using any War Priest charges, it's going to use your War Priest charges and then allow you to do your second attack. So be very careful about this. You can bypass this just by making sure that you click the button to do your secondary attack with your weapon. So click the weapon button. If you just do a basic attack and then try to use any other ability that's an attack ability, it's going to want to use a War Priest charge. Don't know why it does that. It's weird, just something you have to deal with. Now, I know many of you are going to say that a Paladin is a better option and be asking why I did not choose Paladin for this build. My problem with Paladins is, like a young virgin, Paladins come in hot and finish fast, and nobody really wants that, especially when a battle goes long. Like a well-seasoned stallion, this build has serious sustaining power and can hold its damage for the entirety of the fight, and its damage is nothing to scoff at. While a Paladin can burst for a lot more, it's going to burn through its limited spell slots much faster. Before we wrap up the video, I want to give a special shout out to the video that gave me the idea for this build. I'm going to link it down in the description. Make sure you go over there and check that out, because this was not an original idea of mine. A friend of mine sent me this video, and in Biscuit Stick's video, he stated that his build could probably be optimized to be even better, which is a challenge that I decided to take on. Alright, that's pretty much it for this one. Hopefully you all found this video helpful and informational. If you did, please consider hitting the subscribe button and notification bell so you can be notified when I upload other videos. And if you're looking for some more Baldur's Gate 3 content, you can find a link to another one of my videos on the screen right now. I want to give an absolute massive shout out and thank you to all of my channel supporters for helping to keep these videos sponsor free. You all are absolutely amazing people. If you would like to become an official channel supporter, check out the links in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought. If you're shy, you don't like to comment, just hit that thumbs up button and share your support. Until next time, thanks for watching.